can you please rank your favorite way of making money as a software engineer? और कितना पैसा आता है? Is it freelancing? Is it remote work? Is it like a big tech?
Every time you go down, you push back up really hard.
What is the skill that is lacking in Indian students? So hello everyone, today we have Harkirat again. He is an inspiration for me and for many students. मुझे अभी भी यकीन नहीं होता a software engineer who can give away all his weekends. पिछले 21 weeks से every single weekend 2 hours live पढ़ाना plus Monday to Friday on his full-time job करना. I don't know how he manages, plus running his YouTube channel and plus being the top coder, one of the best software engineer I have seen. Not just a junior software engineer, but a senior software engineer. We will be getting into the nitty-gritty details, how he makes it possible, and getting into the technical side, how you can learn from him and be at the level of Harkirat one day, reaching that senior mark. So hi Harkirat, can you please share what are you up to? What's happening? How is San Francisco? क्या चल रहा है?
Thanks for the kind intro, Harnoor. I mean, you've been spending a lot of your weekends teaching as well, so I'm sure, it's you know the struggle. Overall, it's been going well. I'm in SF for a few events right now. But generally, life, as you mentioned, at least for the last 5 months, was classes on the weekends. Surprisingly, you told me yesterday that you've been attending a few classes, which was like a big surprise for me. Hope you had a good experience. So that was the last, as you said, 21 weeks. Now we're trying to launch the next one. And other than that, work is going good. Any questions you have, I'm more than happy to answer, and thank you for having me on your channel again.
Sure. So पहला question तो यार, what keeps you so motivated? Like currently we live in an age कि एक Indian का goal होता है 2-3 years of software engineering and maybe get an MBA. They get bored with coding. Even after you coding from the last 5 years, what keeps you motivated? आपको लगता नहीं it has become boring इतनी देर बाद?
Yeah, as you mentioned, that's very true. Most people filter out beyond a point. A lot of my friends move to EM roles or went for an MBA. That's fairly common. I think there's a small subset, I'd say like 10%, जो by the end of it रह जाता है. So I've thankfully been in that 10%. I like coding. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's just the journey / the interest in computer science inherently that sort of keeps me motivated. And that said, a bunch of my friends are doing MBAs, are in other fields. Some of them are doing businesses. Everyone's doing well. So I think every field has its pros and cons. Personally, for me, I love to code. I can't really spend my day doing anything else. So that's why I sort of remain motivated over a long period of time.
Truly agree यार. मेरे जितने भी IITs के senior है, मेरे काफी friends in my family who have been to IIT, उनका भी majority of them have completed their MBA so far, and they are taking the role of product manager, product management, and I think very few of them are like you who are still passionate about coding. What is the particular part of coding that you really enjoy and live up to? कि यार Monday आ रहा है, I'm excited for it, rather than कि यार Monday क्यों आ रहा है?
Right. I think it's mostly, so the good thing about my jobs has been like I've always learned something new. So it's never been monotonous. It began with a little bit of finance, then went into like core, some deep tech stuff, then into full stack development, and then Web3. I basically keep jumping ships a lot, even though I don't like jump out of coding, but I still jump ships a lot. So every time I jump ship, I get to work on something more exciting. I think that's what keeps me going. I think if I was in like my original job, I was working at Goldman, if I was still there for like the last 5 years, then I would have been a little monotonous and I would have moved to an EM role or I don't know, probably a start role in GS. But since I keep hopping around a lot, it's sort of, that's what seems exciting to me overall, because something new to learn. And I think at some point if that stops कि हाँ मेरे को सीखने कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, then I might think of moving to a different role. Thankfully अब तो इतनी fields आ गई हैं. AI is the next like sort of big thing that's coming, so there's a lot to learn there. So hopefully I think I have a few more years to code a bit.
Wonderful, yeah. So what is your learning flow? So let's say tomorrow Web3 era is over. So let's say there is a new era of mobile app development. कुछ भी नया आता है. So how would you consider learning that technology? What are the steps you will follow step by step?
Yeah, I think the best way to do it, and this is like repeated advice which I keep giving again and again, which is build projects. Best way to learn any technology is not via tutorials, not via reading documentation. You will need tutorials, you will need to read documentation, but have an end goal in mind. Build something that people would want to use. That way, it takes you less time to build it. You have an end outcome versus you being stuck in tutorial after tutorial. If I have to build, for example, a mobile app today, I would choose between whether I want to build it natively. If yes, then I'd either go for your course, try to look for other material, and then build an application on my own, or I would go down the React Native path or a Flutter path, and then try to build something, push it out there, see what bugs people face, and then go through the iteration process of building it in a production worthy fashion. I think that's the best way to learn any technology.
Very well said. Many people quit कि यार चलो छोटा सा Hello World या फिर एक MVP minimum viable product बना के they leave it. But if you go above and beyond, push it to production, push it to App Store, Play Store, that makes you unique. Like 50% of the programmers तो यहीं पे filter हो जाते हैं. They don't, push their code to production. That is something that makes them unique. And I'm so glad कि in your cohort also you are teaching that. मैं बताता हूँ कि my personal experience. The students in his cohort are not just students. वो experienced software engineers भी हैं. They get into the nitty gritty details. For example, in your cohort, there was a question about load balancer versus reverse proxy. People go in depth into and they challenge you in your cohort, and that's something I really admire. The peer group of your cohort is next level.
I agree. I think मुझे भी इसलिए मजा आता है. The reason I was able to continue for 22 weeks and like keep extending because every class very smart questions were being asked. People were getting into the details of things, and जो लोगों को नहीं समझ आ रहा था, people would skip it, figure it out eventually. But as you said, really good questions, extremely good projects people were building. The community is pretty solid. Yeah.
Absolutely. And now, can you tell me, throughout your cohort in India, what is the skill that is lacking in Indian students which is causing them to quit software engineering? काफी लोग quit कर रहे हैं because they keep giving up. क्या mentality है of the students who are giving up, whether it's your cohort, whether it's your students, or whether it's in your whole community of software engineers? What is the reason?
Yeah, I think so. One might be the cycle. कि हाँ, bulls and bears में during the bull, everyone wants to be a software developer. During the bear, people are a little cautious. I think that might be one reason. Other reason, I think what stops people a lot is not software developers like to stay in their bed and code all day. And unfortunately, if you're looking for a job, you have to sort of put your work out there. So people don't push on GitHub, people don't contribute, people don't put out their work. The best people that I've referred during the cohort to jobs have been people who kept tagging me consistently throughout the cohort. Yeri bounty, I've done this bounty. Here is a project that I told on YouTube for people to build. People built it, and people who were actively taking extra classes, things like these. So, thoda sa stepping out of your comfort zone, and coding today, unfortunately, at least when you're trying to get that first job, is not just about coding. It's a little bit about putting your work out there. I think that's one thing that's missing, and then general communication skills, especially if you're trying to target a company outside of India. So you need to have some basic communication skills. Have to have a little bit of time zone. Be a little comfortable with moving your time zone a bit. As long as those things are sorted and you're in it for the long run, I think you'll be sorted.
With this thought, I want to share a quote जो मैंने एक book में पढ़ा था. My friend shared me. The only way to get rid of fear of doing something is to go out and do it. चाहे वो public speaking हो, चाहे talking to stranger ho. You will not learn by reading a book. You will not learn just by documentation. It's to go out, build that project, make it happen and publish it. That is the main reason कि काफी लोग give up in the process. जो लोग go out and make it happen to learn are able to succeed, and those who think yaar I will read this book, take this cohort, things will automatically happen, are able to unfortunately not achieve their success. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's 95% of it is just doing things yourself, and 5% maybe is someone motivating you, helping you out with your doubts. Eventually when you have to do a job, you have to do everything yourself. So get very comfortable with being out of your comfort zone when you're especially getting into the field of coding.
And now the second big skill which is lacking in students is accepting failures. जो भी हो जाए, कोई भी काम करना हो, the number of times you fail, you become better at it. And लोगों में energy नहीं है. चाहे अपनी dream girl से बात करना, they don't have the energy to accept that rejection. मैं इतनी ज़्यादा public में interviews करता हूँ. For example, an MIT interview I did, I got rejected by 15 to 20 students who said they will not be in my video, but still somehow managed to have 5 students. Same is the world of coding, same is the world of networking. So can you please share, Harkirat, some of your key failures which has taught you a lot? Because बहुत कम लोग होते हैं, they share their failures.
Interesting. Yeah, I do agree to that point a lot, by the way. कि हाँ, every time you go down, you push back up really hard, and you have to take every failure as you just have to push it behind you and keep your head down and keep working. Personally, for me, let's see what were my failures. I mean, this is going to sound very privileged, but on campus internship day one पे ना लगना was a big trauma to me कि चलो CS का I'm one of the best students and still not able to get into a Microsoft or whatever the day one company is and eventually get into Amazon. Again, this is coming out of too much privilege here कि चलो एक company में लगा तो दूसरी में लग गया. I think there have been multiple such instances. Second one was when I left my full-time job, there was a little bit of struggle in the middle. Ke, haan, will I get a freelancing gig or not? Thankfully, COVID came, the markets grew, and it turned out to be a good decision. But there was a month or two in the middle where the salary did not hit the bank account and felt like, hey, I don't know, things will work out from here. Thankfully, from there, things have only been up. That said, as you know, markets are a little crazy at the moment. So the kind of hikes I saw, years ago, I'm not seeing those anymore. So this is also coming out of a lot of privilege. I know a lot of people are not getting jobs at this moment, but I think everyone has their fair share of, oh my God, I'm going to get clipped and like Ananya Pandey from this video. But yeah, I think everyone has their fair share of troubles. I've had mine as well. Thankfully, mine haven't been as bad because I went to an IIT. But the only thing I've learned is that whenever I've had a failure, I've pushed back really big from there. And the only way to do that is keep your head down and keep working.
Oh, with this, can you tell me about your freelancing failure as well? Because like in the world of freelancing, no one is able to get their first, like lakh rupees from the first gig. How many failures it took you to be at a point ki 35 lakh rupees ek hi mahine mein aa raha hai?
Yeah, that took like almost 2.5 years to reach there. And when it started off with $100 gigs, $75 gigs. So initially it's pretty blatant. And this was when I left a Goldman job, which was paying whatever 1.5 lakh rupees in India. So there was a little bit of a trauma in the middle. Why am I doing $75 gigs? I was trying to go out in Chandigarh and find people जिनको website बनानी है. They're pretty brutal. They were like, आप हमारे दुकान में आके बनाओ website. Like, fuck. तो शुरू में थोड़ा वो रहा. Thankfully, from there I got my first full-time client who paid me not too much, but $30 an hour, which was good, which was able to match my Goldman salary. So वहाँ से the flywheel started, and then that slowly grew to the 35 lakh month that you're talking about. It takes a lot of time and commitment. So the 35 lakh month, I was doing 100 hours a week. So not something I would recommend. And freelancing with the only thing is, one, it's erratic. Two, you can sometimes not get paid. So be very sure कि जिसको भी तुम I've been conned that way a bit sometimes कि चलो the client did not end up paying after the work. But that's the only bad thing that's happened to me, thankfully.
Now यार failure से ये भी मुझे याद आता है. Can you tell me what is the difference between junior software engineer Harkirat versus senior in the beginning versus end? What mistakes you did?
Yeah, I think it's like writing cleaner code. When you're junior, you don't have any type safety. You use JavaScript. Eventually, when you become senior, you realize that you need to have some types in there. You need to write tests, all that like standard stuff that senior engineers do. Secondly, I think there's more depth and breadth, both of the things that I understand now, which is like how to deploy things. I understand most cloud providers. I can switch between them. I understand high level constructs. तो उसका ये फायदा रहता है कि you can own an application end to end, versus when you're a junior engineer, you're just expected to write code of just this React code for front end, or just own the DevOps cycle. But when you're a senior engineer, or whatever EM or manager, then you have to sort of stand on top of people, make sure you understand the whole process end to end. That's the biggest difference, having more context of the product versus as a junior engineer just being focused on one specific part.
Very well said. Yeah, this is part of growth mindset of big tech companies, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook. They have to look at the big picture rather than small pieces. कि जब ship होगा, what are the problems you can face? So can you tell me कि यार in this big picture, what ways you show your growth mindset अगर आपको promotion लेनी है? There are two ways people do it. एक तो यार manager की चाटना या फिर keep showing off your work with all the engineers. Or second way is कि let your work speak for yourself. Like इतना अच्छा काम करो कि you don't have to show off. So what kind of ways you use to show that growth mindset and get promoted?
Yeah, so the thing about remote jobs is it's very hard to show off. You're not meeting a manager every day, so your work sort of speaks for itself. So the manager को butter up करना वाली process doesn't work in remote work. So for me it's always been putting in more work than expected, and that sort of leads you to that path. It's not too difficult. I've realized as I've sort of worked for a few years now, you just have to put 5% more than 100%, and that pushes you over the edge. कि हाँ चलो ये बंदा is doing more than he is expected. And when you're working remotely, that's sort of expected कि तुम थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा करो, because you're getting the benefits of not going to the office. So it's expected that you work all 40 hours and don't take breaks in the middle. Yeah,
absolutely. Big tech में क्या होता है कि like you have to balance it. आपको work show off भी करना है. You have like different impact circles. आपको दूसरों की भी help करनी है. You have to be active in discussions as well, and that's what makes you in this growth mindset to grow. पर remote में यार you just have to rely on your work. कि आपका percentage, what percentage of work is just coding in a day, in 8 hours?
Oh, probably 70%.
Wow, that's a huge difference, dosto. Big tech, it's like 30, 40. Average Google software engineer codes less than 30% of their day, 35. Same with all big tech. So ये data proven है, and that what I personally enjoy as well, because मेरे लिए बहुत monotonous हो सकता है. But Harkirat very well said कि he likes to dive into different technologies, what makes his day balanced. Can you please rank your favorite way of making money as a software engineer, और कितना पैसा आता है? Is it freelancing? Is it remote work? Is it like a big tech? Or is it like कि creating your own library and then selling it? Because these are the top hottest way of making money. आप खुद अपना project बनाते हो, you sell it on a subscription basis or whatever, whether it's app, and you know what are your favorite and कितना पैसा you think has and कितना potential है in each.
Yeah, I think building a product is the most, like, the best way to become wealthy. That's why it's really hard, and it requires a different mindset, because initially nothing would come, eventually a lot of money would come. But if you want to scale without your time, you will have to build a business. There are a bunch of small agencies, small mini $10 a month, $5 a month, or even like ad-based businesses in India that do a lot of money, like very good money. So that's the best way. That's difficult. You have to understand SEO, you have to understand business if you don't want to get down that route and just be a software developer. तो उसके बाद आता है freelancing for multiple companies or create an agency of your own. Freelancing for multiple companies is the thing that I've done. Consistently, I've been able to like clock, when I was freelancing, around 20 lakh rupees a month, and then biggest month, as you said, was 35 lakhs. The problem there is that your number of hours into number of your dollar amount per hour is limited. It won't grow beyond a point, and your health will get messed up if you're working these many hours. So the third model is the agency model, where you get projects and then you hire people in India and eat the money in the middle. That scales pretty well, especially during bulls. I've known people who have one-person agencies. I know a bunch of agencies in Pune, in Chandigarh is a big hub for these, where someone will take a project from the US and then hire 3 LPA developers in India and then eat the difference in the middle. Those are the ones that will make you wealthy thoda fast. And then there's big tech. Big tech in India doesn't pay as much as big tech in the US, but my friends in big tech in India also make 80 LPA. I know a few friends in Google making that much, cash plus equity. So I think, yeah, that's the ranking. ऊपर से नीचे तक I feel. I could totally be wrong. Everyone has their own differences, and everyone's like, the product path, even I haven't done. I just know it makes more money, but it probably makes money for less amount of people. The big tech path is much easier to grow. You join that company, and then you just have to perform consistently well, and then so both of them, I think you reach the same point eventually. If you eventually you become wealthy by investments. The money, where you put your money might lead to higher outcomes than your monthly salary. But if I had to choose, the best one, the product route is really good, because it scales without your time. After a point, it's like a self-running business.
Totally agree, yaar, because if you make your product, the growth is exponential. One time effort karoge, whether it's your agency, your own product, exponential growth है, because आपके clients, they become repetitive and आपके पास वापस आते हैं, and उससे आपको ज़्यादा पैसा बनता है, and you don't have to then work hard कि यार नए clients में जितना हार्ड वर्क लगता है, that is only in the initial phases. मगर अगर आप सिर्फ फ्रीलांसर ही रह जाओ, वो हार्ड वर्क कंसिस्टेंट रहता है. The amount of return you get, whether it's monetary or project return, is way less as compared to the effort you put in.
Harnoor, if you're in the US, let's say on a visa like yours, what do you think is the best way to make money there today?
Sure. I mean, you mean the easiest or the...
Probably try to rank it down. If you're on a H1B, I'm sure there are things you cannot do, things you can do. So how do students, I'm sure that like rental income, other ways to make money. So like, what's the best route you feel? If someone wants to be in the US for 5 years, how should they become wealthy?
Sure. I mean, I know the easiest that जो लोग comment करते हैं बहुत easy है, that is sperm donation. Like, you go to a sperm bank, that might be controversial. You go to a sperm bank. मैंने किया है. I mean, I have done it, so that's why I'm saying it. The best way is to, work in a company, and which is 70 to 80% of Indians on H1B visa are doing, like getting their dream tech job, उस पे growth दिखाना, and ये करना, which is very fruitful. Like many people who go to Silicon Valley are even able to make $1 million up to that by growing step by step.
Super interesting. Are there any sperm banks here in San Francisco? $1,200 sounds like a decent amount of money. How is your cohort going? Love to know. I haven't really attended a few classes. I would love to, but like, how was your experience in the past few months, weeks?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think Android and iOS niche is very, very slim. तो होता है कि like web development, as you have seen, so number of jobs in US, in Canada, in India, and in the whole world are 5 times in web as compared to mobile app development. If you want to do freelancing in mobile app development, you are paid 2 to 3 times less in mobile as compared to web. हाँ website हर एक को चाहिए, app comes later, so there is in इसमें कम है. But if you are getting into big tech तो कोई difference नहीं है salary का. If you want to get into startup tech job, there is great growth in mobile app, great growth in web development. I don't think so there is any difference.
Got it. And how's your how do you feel as an educator? Do you feel like continuing? How's your weekend grind?
I mean, I think students, as you said, just like your word, students makes me motivated. They give me a problem कि यार app publish नहीं हो रही है Play Store पे, like how to make it possible. तो I try to suggest कि यार इस दिन तक मैं आपके साथ publish करूँगा. I'll show you how to, you know, कि एक ऐप को कैसे क्लीन करना है, मेक इट रेडी टू बी अग्रीड टू द पॉलिसीज मेड बाय गूगल ऐप स्टोर, एप्पल के लिए ऐप स्टोर पॉलिसीज. यू नो, दीज चैलेंजेस मेक इट रियली रियली फन.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So yeah, final plug here. Okay, my cohort is starting on 1st of December. The link is probably somewhere in the description here. There's an early bird that's sort of been extended because of this video. This video got delayed by a lot. So after this video releases, for another 2 days, we'll have the early bird, after which we'll kick up the prices. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Harnoor, for having me on the channel. It was great talking to you as always, and hope to meet you soon.
Absolutely, yaar. Every time we hang out, it's like so memorable. Hope to see you again. कहीं पे भी मिले. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला. I hope Harkirat can continue to teach us in this community on YouTube. So thank you so much, yaar.
Thank you for having me. मुझे भी बहुत सीखने को मिला, especially Sperm Bank. So
see you.